The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I am joined by a guy who was much busier this week than Dave Dombrowski. Regz, you coached a lot of basketball. You also talked to a lot more people than Dave did.
Yeah, I'd like to compare my sort of practice hours with what he's been doing at the winter meetings. Might be close.
Which is not a whole lot. Which is not a whole lot happening, Regz. And we're going to talk all about it. All about it. We're going to dedicate a whole middle section of this show to the Phils. We're going to talk about the Eagles. It has been this week is 3 days old. Because I count Sunday as like the end of the week since it's like football. Like we bookend, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Our week with like football during football season. So like, you know, it all began with the what's wrong with the offense, passing. And then Monday with the Brandon Graham interview, and then the winter meetings with the stale Phils, and just waiting for Jalen and AJ to speak this week. Nick, and wondering if he's going to give some random metaphor that makes no sense. It's been a hell of a week in Philly sports, man.
Yeah, it's been something.
That's where I wanted to start, because with everything going on, I wanted to challenge us tonight, because it's been a challenge over these last 3 days, 72 hours, and I'm exhausted. If you're not watching on YouTube, at some point check, because there are heavy bags under my eyes. I'm not sick. I feel totally fine. I haven't traveled since last week. I'm caught up. My Whoop tells me that I have cut my sleep debt out entirely. I am caught up on rest. The only reason there are bags under my eyes is because of the stress that Philly sports have caused me over the last 72 hours. So, Regz, in 3 words or less, what has this week been like for you from a Philly sports fan perspective?
A Tobias Harris stat line. Lots of minutes, no production. That's what this week has been.
That's good. That's good. And why has it been that for you?
Because it's just been like there's been a lot going on, but nothing has happened. Like nothing good, nothing positive, nothing encouraging. And that's how you felt when you looked at a Tobias Harris box score. Man, he played a lot of minutes to do nothing, and I'm pretty upset about it. And that's how I feel this week has gone. I put a lot of minutes into following this shit, and I just feel much worse having looked at it and listened to it. I've listened to hours and hours of podcasts and YouTube videos and article reading, and I'm just like, it's like when I see 32 minutes and 4 points. It's just like, man, that's disappointing. Man. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
So mine are you'll sense a theme. Overengaged, overblown, overreaction. That's been this week in a nutshell. Similarly to you, I have spent way too much time refreshing Twitter over the last 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's my overengaged. The overblown has been the sense that I get every year that the winter meetings are going to be this amazing week of just pure chaos, but also overblown from the sense of the whole Eagles thing is, to me, entirely overblown.
Yeah.
And the overreaction ties to that exact same thing from a media standpoint. but also an overreaction from a Phillies fan base about the lack of movement and what they did not do
Mm-hmm.
over the last 72 hours. So all of that for me are the three words that describe this week: overengaged, overblown, overreacting. And again, I don't want to tell anybody how to feel. That's not what this show's about. I want you to be able to feel what you need to feel to be able to push through. My hope is that you listen to this and you're able to take some of what we say and that it helps you one way or the other. Maybe it adds to your frustration because that's what you want, or maybe it chills you out because that's what you want. You're guaranteed to get one of those two things from this show because one of us is always on one side of the spectrum. It's very rare that we're both, in the exact same place. We'll agree with each other and but you'll also find that different sides of the spectrum quite a bit. And I'm wondering if that's where we are with the Phillies and the Eagles this week. And let's start with the Phils, and let's start with the thing they did do. Look, they got a catcher minor league deal. It's not going to make a difference. It just adds a veteran to AAA if they should need it. But the real deal came when they signed Jordan Romano, right? Not Romano. Romano. Gosh, I've been saying it wrong, and I felt badly. Then I heard them say it on MLB Network. Jordan Romano, who was the dominant closer for the Toronto Blue Jays over the course of the previous 2.5 seasons. This year had some elbow things going on, some stuff you had to have cleaned out, not Tommy John stuff, but like some spurs, some fragments loose in bodies in his elbow. And that pretty much wrapped his season after 13 appearances and a plus 6 ERA. And, we knew they were going into this offseason trying to add an arm. A year, about $8.5 million, it looks to be the deal. Hearing what he said after the contract, after the signing, and after it became official, that he wanted to bet on himself, that he knows he's healthy, he's throwing hard, he feels like he's back to normal. That gives me a lot of confidence, Regs, in this deal. I feel good about it. I think that, him taking a bet on himself so that he can test the market again is a really good low risk, high reward move for the Phils, heading into the season. Now, I want to get your initial thoughts on how you feel about Romano, the signing. To me, I think he is going to be the 9th inning guy. I don't think there's any question he's coming here to do that. I know they said he's not been promised anything, but if he's effective, if he looks good, he's getting the 9th.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Your thoughts on that, and don't not quite like what now. I don't want that. I don't want where they're going next. What I want is like, what does it mean for the guys already in the bullpen? Like, for the guys who are already here, what does it mean for them and their roles?
Yeah. I mean, I have all the same thoughts about the signing as you do. I admittedly wasn't as familiar with him. Being in Toronto, it's not a team that I follow that closely. I know he was an all-star, a few years ago. But seeing the numbers when he's healthy, like a sub-3 ERA, like 3 years straight, plenty of appearances. I'm with you. I think it's a great low risk, high reward kind of thing. And you always want guys who are trying to prove something. You want guys who are trying to prove that they're back. Again, you can't control if he gets hurt again, but you always want guys who have that sort of extra little chip on their shoulder. So I'm thrilled to have a guy like that who wants to come in and prove that he's still the guy he was from 2 or 3 years ago. In terms of what it means for the rest of the guys, I think I agree with what the Phillies show guys were saying. I just listened to it today. I think there's a lot riding on Orion Kerkering taking another really big leap in his progression. I think if you really think about this bullpen now, he's number one on the list of guys you trust. I think it goes him, Strom, and you might list Romano over Alvarado right now, considering what Jose looked like towards the end of the year. Like, yeah, you still have Ruiz. Yeah, you have Tanner Banks. Those aren't high leverage guys, so I'm not quite putting them in the same category as the other four. But I think this is really relying on Kerkering becoming the Hoffman of the last 2 years. And look, did Orion look better? Absolutely. I think he looked better this year. He didn't pitch a ton of 8th innings, though. He was their 7th inning guy or their 6th inning guy. And say what you will, this is a guy who's going into his 3rd year after being raced up the pipeline. So he doesn't, yes, he has experience now at the major league level, but you're asking for a pretty big jump. Jeff Hoffman's been really good. And so I think you're really relying on, and look, Strom's been pitching well, but he is not a perfect pitcher. We saw it towards the end of the year. He was starting to get hit around a little bit. He had that big streak of not, giving up a run for almost 30 plus innings or something like that.
It was quite some time.
It was a while, but after that, he did start to look hittable again. And towards the end of the season, he was getting hit hard. Balls were staying in the park most of the time, but he was getting hit a lot harder. You have to really hope that Orion is coming in with confidence in his fastball, using that sinker maybe a little bit more, and then not having that slider as the kill switch. You know what I mean? Not the thing I have to throw all the time just to get it over the plate.
Yeah.
And we saw less and less of that last year. So to his credit, it did happen. And he was much better when he established the fastball and then threw that slider. But it's a lot of pressure on the kid. If this is all that happens, let's preface it with, if this is all that happens, there's a lot of pressure on that kid to be a major league setup man, which is not the easiest job in the world.
So as of now, the bullpen stands as is, with Romano, Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado, Banks, Ruiz, and then if you're rolling 8, it's Gilbert and Lazar. I got to be honest with you, I'm not feeling great.
Yeah.
Look, there are a couple of guys that they have on their 40-man who have major league experience. No one. Again, we didn't really know who Jose Ruiz was either, and certainly became a solid piece for them throughout the year last year. But when you look at that, you're really looking at 3 guys that you have full trust in. Whereas, last year, to be fair, there were only 3 guys that we had full trust in then too. On any given night, we only felt good when it was Hoffman. And Strom, honestly, Hoffman and Strom for most of the year, and then when he got hot down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So if Romano's good, you're back in that situation anyway. I do believe that they're banking on Jose Ruiz to take a step forward into that Kerkering fireman role, and they're hoping Alvarado gets back to normal. But with that sort of being said, I wanted to take that next step in the conversation. There were other moves that happened over the course of the week. Max Fried no longer in Atlanta. He is now a Yankee. What a weird deal that was.
Yeah.
We already know about Soto. We've heard about Tasker Hernandez really only wanting to stay in LA.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that we have talked about ad nauseum on this show and has been tied to the Phillies since last year. Garrett Crochet was traded today, but not to the Phillies, to the Red Sox. So guys coming off the table here left and right. I shouldn't say left and right, starting to come off the table.
Yeah.
And the Phillies still have holes. They don't have a left fielder. You could argue that they have a full rotation right now, and that's fine. If they go into the year with what they have, they go with what they have. Like, that's it. I still believe they're at least one arm short in the bullpen. So what now? Because the starting pitcher that was going to take them to the next level is gone, off the market. They're not signing one unless it's a lower tier Spencer Turnbull type of arm. But they're not plucking from the top of the market,
Yeah.
especially after seeing what Max Fried got. So I guess, twofold question. What now? And will they are we just going to look at like a mid-tier outfielder like a Lane Thomas and we're just going to run it back? Like what? So is it I guess the two parts are what now, and are we just doing this all over again?
Yeah. It's tough to argue that we're not at this point. There is no truly impactful outfielder, I don't think. I think there's guys who maybe can alter what you're trying
Kyle
to
Tucker
do.
is, but
Well, sure, Kyle Tucker, but I don't think
it's the same conversation we're gonna have about
yeah.
Crochet.
Yeah. They're just not there with that guy. Like they're just not where the Astros want to be. I think I don't know how to explain it other than to explain what I hope happens. I hope that seeing that they're probably not, in the market for this game-changing bat in the outfield, and that they are going to have to go more middle of the road, that they, and without knowing the other starting pitching that might be available, like, I know Tanner Scott's gettable. Like, why not go all in on trying to make that bullpen the scariest thing that people see? If you're truly, like, something has to happen. You have to try and do something. So I get it. Soto didn't work out. Soto wasn't a possibility. You missed on the ace, right? You missed on Crochet. There are still truly great bullpen arms out there that you could figure out how to get. And if you're talking about, okay, well, we had a pretty good team, the first thing that failed you was your offense. The second thing was your bullpen. The last thing was starting pitching. Your starting pitching was fantastic in the playoffs. So why not address the second biggest concern that still has options available to you that are truly impactful? Tanner Scott is a truly impactful arm to have in your bullpen. Devin Williams would be a truly impactful arm to have in your bullpen. Ryan Helsley, like, let's just talk, like, we can talk about it. I know maybe they're not moving him, but the arms are out there.
Yep.
And you have to lean into something. You have to. You have to lean into something. So that's my hope of what happens.
Yeah, as you look at what is out there, you already mentioned Tanner Scott. Jeff Hoffman is still floating out there. I don't feel very confident in him coming back. Kirby Yates on a 1-year deal. He's coming off an all-star year, would be an interesting guy. AJ Minter would be interesting. Although a lefty. as I scroll, there are plenty of dudes here that could be worth taking a shot at. I don't know that I would take Phil Maton. He looked pretty cooked in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love Kyle Finnegan. There are names here though that I think could be worth it. That Fujinami guy who we were interested in a couple years back. There are dudes here. If you want to try and build your pen, and there are probably more Jeff Hoffmans here than I even realize. Available, but definitely guys to look at, guys to consider from a bullpen perspective. And then when you look at the outfield, because again, I don't know what they're going to be able to do, what they want to do, what they're equipped for. Profar's still out there. Um, that's pretty much it from a left field perspective. I mean, it is pretty barren. Austin Hayes is there, Verdugo's there, Jesse Winker, who I would just not want to
God, please
see in a
no.
Phillies uniform. Brian De La Cruz, I guess, could be interesting, but like he's a dude who strikes out a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Kike Hernandez is out there, but like why?
Yeah.
Like it is not really loaded. Like like Santander maybe. But there's a qualifying offer that comes with him.
And
I don't know,
He doesn't
man.
change your approach.
No, but at this point, when you talk about buying into something and just going with it, they might just have to go with it. Because I don't know what else they do.
Yeah.
They can't go into the year with Rojas playing center and left every day. They simply cannot do that. So creativity is of the essence. We're at a real point here where I'm not mad at them. We talked about this. I'm not mad at them for not giving Soto that deal.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at them for not trading for Crochet.
Right.
To answer the question, like what went wrong? Why weren't they able to get him? Well, when you look at what the Red Sox offered, it was essentially like Miller and Crawford would have to go in that deal. Now they offered that last year.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you got 3 postseasons with Crochet. At this point, you're only guaranteed 2.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving up both of those guys. For us, for the Red Sox, who have far better depth because they haven't been good in a little bit, so they've been able to pick higher, they can afford that. The Phillies can't.
Yeah.
Giving up 4 equivalent I sent you the 4 names that I thought it would be earlier. You texted me as I was literally looking at it. And it, like to get to the equivalent of their 4, 5, and 15, 16, we would have to given up like 1, 3, I think it was 7 and 9 from our system, 4 top 10 organizational prospects. No.
Yeah.
No. Not happening.
Yeah.
It just wasn't going to work for the Phillies. And I do fear the same thing will be true when it comes to Tucker.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between Tucker and Crochet is control.
Yeah.
Tucker only has 1 year left.
Mm-hmm.
The other difference is that the Astros are looking for major league ready talent, someone that can help them now.
Yeah.
The problem I foresee, because we said earlier about Bohm and Ranger, I think that the Astros would be more likely to say Bohm and Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not. Not knowing if Ranger will come back. Ranger's injuries are an issue. The other thing, Regs, to think about here from a bullpen perspective is if they want to get creative, signing another starter and moving Ranger into the bullpen, where he has performed well in the past and where he is able to control, where they are able to control his innings a little bit. And when you look at the starting pitching market, it is deeper than some other places. Like Jack Flaherty's still out there. We've talked about some of the older guys. Maybe Manea's cost comes down and his years come down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and you might be able to convince him to come. I know that they're interested in Patrick Sandoval, but that's going to have to be a 2-year deal because he's not going to pitch this year. I'm just looking who else I see here who could be of interest. Like a Jose Quintana, who always kills us. Why not? Bring him over. What the hell? What's it going to hurt? What I'm trying to say is you can probably fix a little bit of your bullpen by bringing in a 1-year, like maybe a Mike Soroka. Maybe we can bring him here. And he could play between starter and reliever. There are still some things they can do from the pitching perspective. The Romano deal saves them money.
Yeah.
It does fix a little piece of that bullpen that they so desperately need on a cheaper contract. Because if he's healthy, he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
We know that. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy.
Yeah.
So I really, the answer to the question, what now? I don't know. Because I feel like there's just no good answer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's just not a good answer right now. I'm not upset with them because I feel like everything that's happening around them, they're constrained.
Yeah.
And I know people don't like to hear that. People don't want to hear that they can't spend. They've spent enough money. They're close to the fourth line. Like they've spent as much money as any team in baseball not named the Dodgers. So you can't get on them for not spending. They've been good. So as they're rebuilding their farm system and it's better than it was, it's not going to compete with some of these teams who have been bad. And so like they are constrained because if we want to expand this window, can't just go giving Aiden Miller and Justin Crawford away.
Well, yeah, right.
Your two best position prospects can't go in one trade.
Yeah.
They can't go at all at any point together. One can, not both. So, like, can't have your cake and eat it too, fans. Like, you can't. And I know it stinks, and I know we don't want to run it back. I still trust that they're going to do enough to make it a little different around here. It's just not going to be the big splashy moves that everybody's hoping for. And you know what, Riggs? Maybe that's okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to see what that is to make a final judgment.
Suzuki's still out there.
He is. Isn't he being linked to the Kyle Tucker thing now?
Yeah, but the Cubs don't want to give them up in the same deal.
Oh, gotcha.
They don't want to give up. Like there's certain guys that the Astros want, and they don't want to give both guys up in the same deal. They prefer to do two separate deals.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I don't.
And Regs. And if the Cubs give Paredes, who is talked about in that deal, if they give Paredes over to Houston, there's going to be a hole at third base in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Alec Boehm for Seiya Suzuki, who says no. Sorry, I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
No. It's just really difficult to figure out what's out there and what the prices are and what the Phillies will truly be willing to do now. It does seem like there's probably not a lot of guys still out there that they'd be willing to move their top guys for.
Yeah.
It just really, that's where we're at. And I think that disappoints people given what the Mets have done and will continue to do, given what the Dodgers continue to do. But I don't disagree with I'm completely with you. You don't get rid of Crawford and Miller in the same deal unless it's for a truly like controllable all-star, even higher talent. Like you don't give up those guys for anything less. And I can't be mad at them for thinking that way, because I think that's the right way to do it. It puts a lot of pressure on those guys like needing to be good in a few years when they come up and like they're going to really have to contribute. to keep
And
this.
one of them might be up this year.
Yeah, to keep this window going. And that, like, I don't want to put those pressure on those guys because I think they have been doing it the right way. And they have been taking their time, which I think is the right thing to do. I just think you can, it's a weird spot to be like a little disappointed and then also accepting the reality of what this offseason is going to be. It's just, you know, every fan's going to have to take their time with it and just kind of get to the acceptance part of this, you know, of this cycle.
Yeah, and it's not to say, I mean, from what I read, I don't know if it was Gelber Zielecki, one of them said like they've had some really deep talks with teams.
Yeah.
Like they've taken some talks to the ends of the earth, but they're, you know, doesn't mean they have to get over the finish line now.
Yeah.
They have the foundation for a deal if something else doesn't work out in their favor.
And I think it ultimately comes down to that it scares people that the answer is, well, your two $300 million and $300 million players have to fucking play better.
Yeah.
And figure out how to like not swing at every slider that they see.
Yeah.
And that's the people think that's the toughest way to do it because I don't think a lot of people believe that they're capable of it. I'm not in that camp, but I can understand why people would be reluctant to believe that can happen.
Look, the other parts of this is like it's still a really good baseball team.
Yeah.
Like they're a really good baseball team as constructed. They have to be more cognizant of their shortcomings as a roster.
Yeah.
I think from a construction standpoint, they are who they are, which is why I said like at this point, if the best you can do is Santander, who's all power and going to swing and miss, then okay, you just go all in on the bit and hope that some guys get hot at the right time. Some things to consider on this front. The first being, we've heard that Bryson Stott played with an elbow injury like on, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. Same guy we saw the year before. That could very well be what it was. So hopefully that gets fixed and we see Bryson Stott from 2023. The other piece to this is if you end up not trading Alec Boehm, I do believe Alec Boehm's coming in as motivated a player as you're going to find. It can't feel good to see your name out in the trade rumors every day. So hopefully they'll light a fire under his ass and we'll figure some things out.
Yeah.
But look, it's a long off season. Let's not get caught in this week's over. The Phillies are done.
Yeah.
Right. We still have like 2 months until they report. So a lot can happen. A lot can happen. I mean, we could be sitting here on Saturday and get hurt that, you know, Kyle Tucker's a Philly.
Yeah.
It's stuff can happen that fast. Or say a Suzuki's a Philly. Or Roki Sasaka's a Philly. Any of these things could happen.
Yeah.
It's a long off season. It's why we hate baseball off season because of how long it is. Before we move along here, just want to make mention to Cole Hamels being taking on multiple roles in the Phillies. One of them being color analyst.
Yeah.
In certain broadcasts. First of all, Cole is going to be phenomenal at that.
I think so too.
Because he's so freaking smart.
Yeah.
Secondly, he ups the attractiveness of that booth quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Not that Tom and John aren't good looking guys, but
I mean, look, after Cole, John is like neck and neck.
Yeah.
It's not even close. It's not even close.
Talking about Hollywood here.
Yeah, I mean Hollywood Crucky Boo. But I mean Hollywood Hamels. That dude walked out at Citizens Bank Park on his retirement night, and Andrea texted me immediately. Was like, Cole still looks good. And my wife doesn't. That's not like a message that she'll send, you know, just on a whim like that. So I knew, and I mean, in my head, I'm thinking it too.
Course.
Cole still looks like looks like he could still step out there and throw 9 innings. But in all sincerity and all jokes aside, Cole's going to bring a really cool spin to the booth, I think. A recent player.
Yeah.
Again, not to take away from, what Kruk and even Rube. I'm not a Big Ben guy. I don't think, I've made that a secret in the past. But Kruk brings a lot to the booth. I think Ruben and Ben both bring stuff to the booth on their own in different ways. I think it's going to be really interesting to hear a guy who's played. I mean, in the last 6 years, he's been in the league.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of that like Romo type perspective on a new brand of baseball. So really interested in that. Any thoughts on Cole?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on all that. I think the thing that I latched onto was for me, I think there was a time where you weren't sure how much Cole kind of wanted to embrace his time in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, when he was here,
it.
and for the, but the years after were a little tough. He never was the guy who would speak glowingly of his time, publicly. Again, I'm not going to speak to his private life. Who the hell knows?
Right.
But publicly, it wasn't like Chase or Jimmy or Ryan Howard or even Pat Burrell or Jason Worth. Like those guys who talked about their time here, wanted to spend time around here. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, Cole was one of those guys who were like, man, did he I know of course he won a world championship and he liked his time here, but we might never see him around again.
But did he?
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm hopeful that whatever has happened, he seems to truly want to embrace his time as a Philly and his time in Philadelphia, and really wants to contribute to this organization, like not just from the booth, but helping the pitchers, like helping young pitchers, like being a mentor to these guys. I think we all wanted this to happen with how much Cole means to us, especially you and I, obviously, right? People of our, generation and of our age range. Cole, like outside of Roy Halladay, Cole was our ace. Cole was our world championship ace.
Our guy, our MVP.
Exactly. And it was always really tough to square kind of the weirdness that you felt when he would talk about Philadelphia or didn't talk about it the same way those other guys would. So I'm excited. I think I'm excited to see him excited to be around and be around the team. And I think the insights he'll be able to provide will be fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. I agree 100%. I'm excited for him to be part of it, sort of in the way that Crucky is. And I wonder if we'll ever get them on the same broadcast, because I don't think you can find two different personalities.
I think you have to at some point. You have to.
I don't know that you'll find two different personalities. And whose hair is better, Terrence or Cole's? That's a question that we're gonna have to navigate throughout the season.
I mean, she's definitely got a challenger now. She's been kind of she's been having it easy.
Well, Ben's got great
that's
hair.
a fair point. That's a fair point.
Ben's got great hair. It takes a lot of product. Cole's doesn't seem to take a lot of product. Cole's is pretty natural. It's like Ryan Cajun hair. One last thing on baseball here, and we don't have to spend a ton of time here. I just want a quick opinion. The golden at bat rule.
Asinine. You want one word? Asinine.
That's all I needed. For those of you that don't know, there is a rule proposed, and actually gaining traction, that you get one golden at bat a game, where you can bring anybody up at any time. So if I strike out Shohei Ohtani with 1 out in the 9th inning and the bases loaded, they can turn him right back around and send him up to the plate again. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
All you have to know about this is that my wife, who has never played a lick of baseball, softball, anything, obviously watches because now me and the boys do and everything. Her first reaction was, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. It's like bringing like the Harlem Glow. Well, actually, let's do it this way: the Savannah Bananas
Yeah. Yes.
into Major League Baseball. And look, that's not to say I mean they're doing wonderful things.
Oh yeah, more power
I
to
want to go
them.
see them.
Yeah,
But like, let them do their thing.
exactly.
We don't have to like baseball.
They don't. Yeah, they
we-
don't claim to be real baseball. They are an entertainment product purely.
We have dealt with the rule changes, I think, from a baseball purist standpoint, with a lot of like acceptance and grace and like open-mindedness. I wouldn't do well with this rule.
No, this would be really bad. They've been,
To
their credit, as much as maybe some people didn't like the DH thing, you know, I waver on the second base, rule in extra
Don't love
innings.
that.
I'm with you.
Not there yet.
I get it. Like I said, I go back and forth.
Yeah.
Pitch timer. I'm still, I have my moments with it.
I'm actually really good with it. I think it's fantastic.
In general, I agree with you. But that's what I think. You tried some stuff. Mostly, it's been very positive.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, you like pull up.
This is
like
this is
we're
this
flying
is a step too far.
We're flying too close to the sun here, Icarito. Let's take it down a little bit. Let's take it
Just
down
a
a little bit.
Little Icarus shout out for the Greek mythology people out there.
Let's just take it down a little. Let's take it down a notch, Rob.
I think, when I look at it, I'm just like, this is something I would have done in like wiffle ball in my backyard.
Oh yeah, right. This is the rule for like that wiffle ball league that's on YouTube.
Yeah. Which is totally cool.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All the other rules I've been okay with. I could do without the Ghost Runner. I think I'm good with the Ghost Runner after like the 12th. Like let's play extras for 3 more innings, and if we can't get it done, we'll do the Ghost Runner. That's where I'm at with that. But like this rule feels to me like I'm back in my backyard playing 3-on-3 wiffle ball.
Yeah.
And this is what we could do late in games when it was getting dark out. We needed to, like, not cool. Not gonna fly.
If my 10-year-old and 6 and 8-year-old say that's not baseball, I don't know what else. What other evidence do you need?
No, I don't want to be sitting on the beach this summer listening to the Phillies game and hearing, oh, the Dodgers are pulling out the golden at bat rule here in the 6th inning with 1 out, and Freddie Freeman is going to hit 8.
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in it. I will throw my drink in the ocean. No, thank you. Speaking of throwing things, we already recapped the Carolina game. I wanted to throw things many times. I rewatched the tape. Here are some moments of takeaway from that will get us into the bigger conversation. Takeaway number 1 is on the defensive side. Cooper DeJean did not have as bad of a game as I thought.
Okay.
He really didn't. Looking at the film, he only got beaten man twice. Everything else was zone, and he just happened to be the closest guy in zone, but there were like zone blow-ups that we haven't seen, and I think not having Reed with communication was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those came with the guy replacing Reed. Which, I don't put on anybody other than just like he's less talented and less instinctive. Like that's the way it goes. So that was one takeaway. The second takeaway is, holy shit, Jalen Carter's really good. We don't have to say anything else about that. The third takeaway is the run game is still head and shoulders better than anybody else in the league.
Yes.
Maybe aside from the Ravens.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Jalen, and I said this on the last show, but I don't think I was explicit enough, and I want to be very clear. We're seeing the tale of Jalen Hurts playing out right in front of us. Last year, into the beginning of this year, we saw a very cutthroat Jalen in the passing game. He was just going balls to the wall, throwing everything, cutting it loose. reckless, some would say.
Mm-hmm.
So he was coached up to pull back. That's very clear. And now he's pulled back to the point where he's indecisive.
Yes.
And it's impacting the passing game in a very negative way.
Yeah.
Now everybody's screaming that they want him to throw the ball, even though a year ago we were saying run the ball. Like, figure it out, people. Just be okay with having one really good thing. The second thing can come along. Because for most of the year, the passing game was fine. I don't know when Jalen got in his head that he can't pull it. He recognizes it. He talked about it today. That sometimes he needs to pull it. But there were a couple of throws, and I'm not going to get into individual plays, but I can think of one specifically to AJ. I talked about it last show. There's also one with Devontae where he could have cut it loose early and didn't. And it's not even a progression thing. It's just the first read is there. He's not ripping the
right.
You know, I know a lot of people got on him for the second play of the game going deep to AJ. I think he could have thrown it. I can see why he didn't throw it. Looking at the film, like, it's clear that he sees a defender. But if he trusts himself and lets go of it when he didn't need to, this was one where he could have waited an extra tick.
Yeah. Yes.
He could have waited one extra. He had plenty of pocket time.
Yep.
And if he waits one extra tick,
he sees that corner.
It's probably a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, J.C. Horn.
Yeah.
He collapses to the second level of the play.
Yep.
But he didn't trust himself to wait a second, another tick.
For no reason, because it was a beautifully clean pocket, like with nobody around him.
So it's like sometimes he pulls it too quickly. Sometimes he waits too long.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to fix that. I think there's just got to be a lot of coaching points on it because he wasn't doing it earlier in the Jalen still made enough plays to win the game. Like, he still didn't turn over the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in that sense, he did everything we want him to do.
Yeah.
But it caused a little bit of a rift.
Yeah.
The A.J. Brown comment after the game, passing, which led to the Brandon Graham comments around things are not the same. Things have changed. One is trying, and 11 needs to do a better job of, expressing himself, which makes all of Philly think that they're not friends anymore.
Well, BG kind of said that also, like they used to be friends, and I think that was literally what he said.
But like his semantics were so bad. I kept saying this to you in text message. I hear what he's saying, but I was taking it, and look, I don't know if we're ever going to know what is the truth. Like, I think there's probably some truth to a falling out for some reason, but I do believe that some of it is because being friends and being colleagues, especially in their roles, is not easy.
Right.
Because like from one side, you expect something and you're not getting that thing. And I look, Jalen is AJ's kid's godfather.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that literal blood has falling out. I know that. But there's also like too many recent photos of the two of them like taking pictures together and like huddling before the game and praying literally on Sunday. So like, is there some truth to this? Probably. Do they hate each other? No, absolutely not. I think the truth probably falls somewhere in the middle. And they both sort of said the same thing, which was like, Brandon spoke about something he doesn't really know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And even Brandon came back and said, I spoke about something that I didn't really know about.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that could be damage control. I tend to think there's probably more truth to it. Let me say it this way. There's some sort of fracture in their friendship. I think that's true. I think there's some truth to that. Speculation wise, I think we can all say there's probably some sort of fracture either in their professional relationship or in their personal relationship. Something is off. But they're not mortal enemies that can't function as teammates.
Yeah, right.
Like I think the truth sits somewhere in the middle, And at this point, it's hard to navigate that. You just got to keep trying to win football games. And I trust both of them as professionals because in my experience listening to the two of them, I don't see them as having issues coexisting as professionals.
Yeah.
I think they both have very common goals. They want to win football games. I also believe that AJ Brown's going to go for 200 yards this weekend. Share your thoughts, Regz.
I think there's two sides to this. I think let's just talk about the passing game. I am completely with you. Jalen has gone to the opposite end of the spectrum in his conservativeness. He is more concerned about not turning the ball over than letting the ball rip. Now, look, I think it also is very tough after you watch the Eagles and have that problem, and then you watch Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen do what they did in the Sunday night game, where those guys need this much room to throw the football. They see an inch of space, and they're like, I can make that throw. And Joe Burrow, who doesn't even, he throws it before there's even a break in the route. And I think that is the criticism, which is fair of Jalen, is that he's not even making anticipation throws where he knows that guy is going to come open. And in this particular, like, he just is turning them down in this particular game. Now, look, the week before we saw him hit some of those to AJ in the Ravens game. Over the middle throws that are anticipation throws. AJ's not in the area to catch the football when he lets it go, but he gets there. And it's a great play. It's the inconsistency of Jalen, I think, that's most frustrating. It's that we've seen it in 2022 when he's at that perfect balance. We've seen the opposite, the one side of the spectrum in last year, where it's just, fuck it, I'm throwing it. My guys, are better than these other guys. Screw it. I'm just letting it go. And now we're seeing the opposite. And I can understand why AJ Brown's frustrated. He's really good and really open sometimes. Same thing with Devontae Smith. And if you've got a quarterback that, like, when you look back and he's just staring at you, and then you go back and look at film and there's nobody near you, like, would frustrate anyone whose job and, like, getting paid relies on this dude letting go of the football. So I believe most of the frustration from AJ is strictly on a professional level. I need my quarterback to get me the ball, because when I get the ball, my team wins. And that's all I'm trying to do. From that standpoint, I'd be pissed. I'd be frustrated too.
100% agree.
I'd be frustrated too. And look, I don't think he was wrong in what he said. The passing game is the problem. And you know who controls the passing game? Jalen freaking Hurts.
Yep, and he said that today.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I think right now, Jalen is in a mode that causes Kellen Moore to be conservative and not call the kind of plays or put in the types of routes that he wants to put in. I think it causes them to not be inventive on the offensive end, where they're not scheming guys open. We talk about this, when they don't play well. Guys aren't schemed open because I don't think that Kellen Moore has confidence in Jalen on a given week. Like, is he going to rip it when he knows these guys are going to come open?
Right.
Is he going to make a quick decision that throws somebody open instead of seeing a guy open, waiting one more beat, and then throwing the football?
Right.
To be really sure that this doesn't get tipped or it doesn't lead to an interception. This is on Jalen. It's plain and simple. Like, you want to be a $50 million quarterback? This comes with the territory, dude. It's all on you. And he's got to figure out how to find the middle ground. He's got to figure it out, or else this is what it's going to look like more often than not.
I think that you are exactly right when it comes to AJ having every single piece of or every ability to say what he said. I 100% believe that he has the right to be angry and frustrated. I think, I think all of them do. And I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg, but there has been one constant when it comes to why the passing game struggles or when the question is asked, and it does seem to be Jalen. But I do also want to defend Jalen in that that might be the first ever sneeze live
Bless
on
you.
the show. Thank you. I do want to defend Jalen from the sense that it feels like he's in a no-win situation with the fan base and the media. Because early in the year, he got absolutely torched when he was throwing interceptions, even when they were good throws. Like, I still remember sitting here on this show and talking about a throw he made into the end zone. I don't remember what week it was, but he made a throw into the end zone that got picked off. Dallas, actually. And it was a good throw. It was the right throw. It was just a better play. But I think it was
right?
Diggs
Yeah.
who made the play. Yeah. And he's getting torched. Too many interceptions. He's got to cut out the interception. Well, in this 9-game winning streak that they're on, what's he thrown? One interception? I think it was that one.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 interceptions. And what? Like he's got like 20 some total touchdowns in that time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I understand that last week was ugly. I climbed on this show on Sunday night and said, wow, it was bad to the naked eye. It didn't get better watching the film, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But like, I'm also willing to be like, all right, let's push pause. Like, I know it hasn't been good the last couple of weeks, but it hasn't been this bad all year.
No.
And they're in I think in total pass efficiency, they're like number 12 in the NFL. And there's another stat that I'm forgetting where they're like 17th, 18th, something like that. So all is not lost.
Yeah. So look,
I think go ahead.
I just think, just to your point, I think you're exactly right. I think this is where you can criticize AJ. The reason this is overblown is because of his public comments.
Right.
You're exactly right. There have been games this year where Jalen has been letting it fly. And AJ Wright has 10 catches for 100 and whatever yards, and it looks great combined with Saquon in the running game and all that. And there have been games where it's been like this. The difference is that AJ made comments publicly about it. That specifically seemed like he was targeting his quarterback. Listen, have there been games where Devontae has been like, look, we all know we can do better than this. Like, was the passing game perfect? No, but we all know we can do better, and that's what we're working towards. Yeah. This was a more pointed and poignant reaction from your best player, or maybe your second best offensive player.
No, I think he's your best player. Period.
Yeah.
Like I think in terms of what he brings to your team and what he does, I do believe that. But like, you're right. Just saying passing, that immediately points the finger at the quarterback. I whether he meant the passing game or not, which he's included in, it wasn't going to be taken that way. And AJ's smart enough to know that.
Well, look, I think he made a frustrated comment. I'm not taking blame away from him. He made a frustrated public comment.
Yeah, and I love AJ. Because here's the other thing, Regz. I do believe it's fair to say I don't want them up there after that game on Sunday being like, no, it's fine. We'll be good again next week.
Sure.
Like, I'm glad that they were mad. I just wish that they would do better at handling that crap in the locker room. Like, if he would have said the way we threw and caught the ball today, or the way that our pass game was today is unacceptable.
Yeah,
We're gonna
or
have to
just
figure that out moving forward.
Nobody's
Like,
happy with how it went, and we will
that's
get together and figure it out.
That's the same level of accountability.
Yeah,
Like, except it doesn't come with the drama.
right.
But like now, every time I look up at the gym, it's up or trouble, up the Birds drama, up
Well,
the
yeah,
Eagles are gonna fall
it
apart
also
again.
became a national thing now.
And dude, you know what's happening on Sunday at 4:30.
Yeah,
The first time AJ doesn't get the ball,
yeah,
all the cameras are gonna go to AJ Brown.
yep.
They're all gonna go to AJ. And it just needs to be there just needs to be a better way of going about that. Now, I do want to say, because I've been trying my best to give him flowers when I feel like he has earned them. I don't know that Nick Sirianni could have handled this week any better than he did. If they win this game on Sunday after all of this nonsense,
Yeah,
he truly deserves serious consideration for Coach of the Year. To go from 2-2, you're about to lose your job, to 12-2, and that you win 10 in a row, and your team was about to freaking explode from the inside again, and you beat a playoff team. This game would mean they have swept the AFC North. They will have swept the AFC North if they win this game.
mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah,
So I do want to give him his flowers. I thought his press conference was really good. I'll also say I thought Jalen did a nice job today. I thought he handled
I
it
agree.
perfectly
Yes.
in his press conference too. I thought AJ in his 7-minute little media scrum, and by little I mean it was
I was about to say, did you see the pictures of that?
it was ridiculous. But I thought all of them handled it really well.
Yeah.
I thought they were all on the same page. They said what they needed to say. I love that Jalen took full accountability and said the offense is going to be what I make it. It's, whether you like it or not, what Jalen Hurts does is how this offense is going to go. So he is wearing that shield of accountability, and I think that's important. I don't know that he's done that throughout his entire tenure. At least consistently, I feel like he's done it at times.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting moving forward, I think, this weekend. Jordan Mailata, to sum this all up, put it really well. This is not about AJ and Jalen.
Yeah.
This is about the Eagles playing the Steelers now. We're done. We're moving on. That's why that dude's wearing a C on his chest.
Yeah. Has really stepped up from that standpoint. Somebody put it really well. It might have been Elliot in his tweet, was like, Jordan Mailata stand up. He's really taken on that like Kelsey role, where when you're looking like for the like really what's the team like, doing, what's really going on. Jordan's been that guy to step up and be like, no, this is what I will make sure this team is focused on.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this is what we will make sure our team is focused on.
That's needed.
Absolutely.
I think he learned a lot from Jason, and certainly it's an easy guy to learn a lot. But I was very appreciative when I saw that today, because the more this went on, the longer this, not the week to have your focus off. Again, they're still it's going to take a half miracle, but they're not out of that 1 seed scenario. They're not. They're still very much in that conversation, especially with a Bills win this weekend.
Yeah.
And with a Bills win and an Eagles win, the conversation is very much alive with 3 weeks to go. So it's important to get your heads on straight, because this is, out of your games remaining, this is the toughest one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Commanders game is the second toughest, but this is the toughest one by far. So you've got to be ready for this weekend.
Yep.
Which leads me to this Steelers team, man. So well coached, so like well prepared. Russell Wilson's having a little bit of a formation. kind of rising from the ashes of Denver. You know, they've got a strong run game with Najee leading the way a little bit, and then is a solid number 2. Their passing game is going to take a hit if George Pickens can't play, and it sounds
Yes.
like he's doubtful. But the tight end game is strong. Russell Wilson certainly will take some shots down the field. I don't know that those moon balls are going to work against this
Yes.
version of the Eagles defense. It'll be interesting to see. On the other side of the ball, we know they can get to the quarterback. They are athletic all across that front. Patrick Queen is also having a really nice season. His rejuvenation from last year has continued into Pittsburgh. They can be had a little bit in the secondary. Is still a fine player at safety, but at the corner spot, you can get Joey Porter.
Yeah.
As their number 1. He's fine, but he can still be had. So it's definitely going to be a fun game from a passing perspective. I feel like defensively the Eagles are going to be in good shape. It'll be on the offensive line to make sure that Jalen feels comfortable back there. They do a fine job most weeks. So, you know, it's just, can you control Watt? Can you control Highsmith? Can you control Hayward? They got a bunch of guys on that line. So let's start with this. If the Eagles win, you know, what are we talking about? If they lose, what are we talking about? And I'll start by saying, if they win, the defense does what it's supposed to do. If it does, I don't know if the Steelers cross like the 17-point threshold this week. If the Eagles defense does what it's supposed to do, and that might even be high. If they lose, it's because this drama played into the week and it plays itself out on the field.
Yeah. Mine is that if they win, the offensive line continues to be dominant. I'm going to focus on eliminating the drama, hopefully, and that means the O-line comes to play. And they are giving Jalen the ability to not feel the pressure. They're giving Jalen the ability, you know, Saquon the ability to continue to run the ball how they've been doing. And the offense gets right, and I think it absolutely starts with those 5 guys. Being as like dominant again. They've been unbelievable this season. And as like Shield says on all the Ringer special episodes, he's like, do you know how many quarterbacks would die to have the pockets that Jalen Hurts has every week?
Oh man.
He's like, do you like pull all 30 guys and see and just show them some of these pockets and ask them if they'd like, you know, their offensive line to give them this. They've been playing unbelievably well. I think this is going to be a real game where they're going to have to shine for Jalen to feel comfortable enough to start playing how he has to play, to continue to take pressure off him by Saquon, you know, doing what he's doing behind those big boys. And if they lose, I think it's going to come down to something happened with the defense. Like they had another slight regression after being nearly, you know, literally the best defense in football.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my key. And I'm gonna say it this way: just feed AJ the ball.
Yeah.
I do believe that it's an AJ Brown week. I think, you know, we'll get the Saquon touches, and he'll probably end up with his casual 120 or so. But I think it's the feed AJ week. 150 to 200 yards and probably a couple of scores too.
Yeah. I'm going to go with like my key is Lane and Jordan continuing to play how they play. TJ Watt will move all over the place. I think the interior, you know, Cam Hayward's still a good player, but I think you have to be able to stop TJ. If you can't stop him, everybody else gets that much better. And this team leaves their tackles on an island.
Yep.
And those guys have been fantastic, and I think they will need to continue to be fantastic.
Yeah. That middle of the line is going to be interesting to see, you know, because man, Hayward's still playing at such a
Yeah,
high level.
absolutely.
And that's someone that, we wouldn't even think twice about with Jason Field.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Cam handles him. All right, that brings us to our predictions. They are 5.5-point home favorites. Pretty good. Considering that this is a team who is also playing at a really high level. What do they have? 3 losses?
Yeah.
I think they're like 9-3 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eagles are favored by 5.5. That's pretty telling of what Vegas thinks about the Eagles, despite what happened against the Panthers. The total's 41.5. That's a very, very low total. I think the Eagles bounce back this week. I initially had this as a loss. I'll tell you. Not in our game. I actually have it as an 11-point win on my side. I had it as a loss coming out of the Panthers game.
Yeah.
The further we get into this week, I have it as a win because I think they're going to be motivated to come out and show that there's nothing wrong. This isn't last year. We're a different group. And I think that's led by the defense, and the offense is fueled by it. So I have the Eagles winning this one 31-14.
Okay. I have just slightly under that. I have 27-17.
27-17. So we both have them over. And covering. So we will see what happens, but I'll tell you what. It's going to be a fun Sunday. I'm kind of annoyed that the Lions and the Bills also play at 4:25.
Yeah.
I'm really frustrated by that. I wish that one of these games got flexed to Sunday night.
Yeah, that would have been the way. What is the Sunday night game?
It's not either of these. It is Green Bay and the Seahawks.
Yeah, one of these could have been there.
Which is it's a fine game. It's fine. It's
those are two really good afternoon games.
Yeah. Yeah, tough that they're on at the same time. That's tricky. Even if one of them got moved to 1, it would have been fine,
I really hope I get it. I really hope I get it on the TV.
Yeah, me too, because the Ravens the Ravens play at 1.
That's good.
So you might be good. There's only a few games. They might actually be they might be a doubleheader at 4:20.
They might be.
There might only be one 1:00 game on.
Yeah.
It's possible. All right. I don't really have a ton for Phixated tonight. It's really just going to be like give the drama back to your mama and play some football. Like I don't need this stuff. I don't need it. I just want a nice calm end of the season, and also Dave do something. That's my Phixated. Do anything. Like if I had one of those, it's like one of those memes online where it's like you're poking something. Like Dave, anything else?
You have the Staples button, but it says "do something," and you're just
just do something.
So
that's my Phixated.
Here you go. I'm gonna mix it up. I have a Phixated that's completely un-Philly sports related.
Do it. I'm gonna mute.
And is related to what we talked about in our conversation before we started. Hey, parents. If you have a child
I'm unmuting.
who you and them have made a commitment to something other than playing rec. So let's say a travel team, club team, whatever it might be.
Let's just say a travel
something
team.
More advanced than your regular rec. Where, listen, I think rec councils are fantastic. I love them. They do God's work. The coaches, volunteers, everybody. More power to you, whoever you are out there. They are designed to take anybody, right? Anybody. You've never touched a baseball before? Come on out. You don't even have a glove. No worries. Come on out.
We got some here.
We'll figure it out for you.
That's right.
And again, God bless them.
God bless.
If you've made a commitment to a travel team, a club team, and you're lucky enough that your son or daughter or whoever has made that team, so now you as a family have made a commitment to that team. For the love of Christ, show up on time. Talk to your son or daughter about what it takes to commit to something like that. Explain to them that this is not rec council where everybody gets the same amount of touches of the ball just because they show up. Explain to them that you have to earn things in this world.
A little accountability.
Explain to them that we don't, no one cares if you're not happy. Have you worked harder? Have you practiced harder?
Got to give effort.
Have you tried outside of practice to get better?
Spend the time.
And then, for all things holy, don't text your coach that your son should be doing something more when they haven't earned it. Especially when you don't sit at practice
Amen.
and watch your son or daughter be lazy and not remember plays.
Don't make assumptions.
This is just a public service announcement from Coach Regz.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Like, you know what my reaction is if my son doesn't play? He didn't deserve to.
That's right.
You know, you can fix that. You fucking earn it. You go into practice and you beat that guy who's ahead of you by listening and showing effort. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Regz, ladies and gentlemen.
Speaking from a guy who played power forward in high school who was 6'2" and white as the snow.
He's not done.
I'm done now.
He's done now. He's done now. There it is. He's done it, folks. And just to recap, accountability. Accountability.
Just a little bit of effort goes a long way.
And effort.
Just
the AAE, as some would say. Accountability, and effort.
Yeah. All things you can control. All things you can control.
All of them. Everyone. And after that has been said, we thank you so much for being here. I thank Regz for his very
I don't do it often, but sometimes I feel impassioned.
That's the word I was looking for. His very impassioned speech on effort and being accountable. Parents and kids. Yeah. I hope you were listening. And if you weren't, rewind.
Also, if you're looking,
and then after you're done listening for
tips,
time,
reach out.
He's got them. So do I. After you're done listening a second time, click subscribe on the YouTube channel below, and then go and follow wherever you get your podcast. Then find us on social media at the Phixated Pod on Twitter, at the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z, at the Phixated Pod on TikTok, and the Phixated fan page on Facebook. Merch is in the show description below. I actually really want a shirt that says "Show up on time." Put in the effort. Coach Regz.
We could figure that. We could get that done.
I would really like that. I think
we could get that done.
I'd wear it all the time. Coach Regz. Just a little effort. How about a little effort? That's what I wanted to say.
We should get a t-shirt that says "I'm 6'2" and white as the snow." Coach Regz.
What is that? We might keep checking that merchandise
for the TikTok dance. I've made a decision.
Oh no! I was about to sign off.
I want you to do that cowboy boogie one where they got to go like this, and you got to that song.
Oh, that's an old one. Yeah,
I know it is an old one, but I love it. It's my favorite one.
All right. I think I can handle that. I'll try and take care of it next week.
All
right. I like it. All right, everybody. We appreciate you listening. 6'2" power forward, white as the snow. Good for us. I was a 5'7" point guard, whiter than the snow. So There's that. We're glad that you were here hanging with us. We'll see you next Thursday. Hopefully the Phillies have woken up from hibernation, do something. Hopefully the Eagles have won their 11th in a row as they head into another rematch with the Commanders. But first things first, go take care of the in-state rivalry. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of one another. We love you all, and we will talk to you next Thursday. Go Birds.
See you, everybody.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.